Hi, it's Charles again with a brief introduction to the game Combat Commander. Combat Commander is a World War II tactical game. It's simple in some ways, yet a little complex in others. It's got a lot of different things happening in the game. The basic setup of the map is driven by this scenario setup here. You follow the directions here and it basically walks you through on what's needed. The year marker goes in 1943, doing scenario 10. It shows the direction, the orientation of the map, which is also used for spotting. When you do artillery fire doesn't automatically hit where you want it to. You have to basically draw for it and see if your card that you draw puts you spot on or has a little bit of a drift. And it can make the game quite interesting because sometimes the drift can drift back to you and you can affect your own units. The game is card driven. And units are defined by the scenario notes. Stacking rules are 7 figures per square. So if you've got 4 on this one here, and then a leader, that would be 5. So you would be allowed 2 more units in that square. There's terrain benefits. There's great line of sight. The line of sight is very technical. I like to use a laser pointer because you center to center, and sometimes you got to touch the edge of a tree in order to block the line of sight. So it's not like some games where if you touch the hex it's blocked. It's actually a physical obstruction from point A to point B, which is kind of interesting. You have equipment, machine guns, etc., which are equipped by people. Sometimes some of the lighter units will carry machine guns, different things like that. It slows people down. That's nice. There's also an initiative card in case something goes wrong and you don't like the roll that you draw. You can play that card, give it to the other person, and then you get to re-roll that draw. Now, some interesting things about this game is there are no dice in this game. As you do an attack, you draw off the deck. So if you look in the bottom right here, this is your roll. Now, you'll add your firepower plus this against a person's defense, and that'll give you whether you hit or not. So another interesting thing that can happen is when you're drawing, you can also have some events that happen. And if it says event on there, you draw another card, and then you look at the event on the bottom of the card, and that'll tell you something unique that's getting ready to happen that you didn't expect. Adds a lot of chaos to the game. Snipers also happen. There's time markers. Time markers advance the time or the game round. It could be good for you, could be bad for you, depending on what side you're playing. Very good game. Things I like about it are the tactical movement of units, and the cards add on this unexpected chaos sometimes of just not knowing what's going to happen. In my opinion, when you're playing a game like this, you can plan all you want, but it's nice when you have to deal with that chaos, and that's what drives, to me, the history and the wargaming and all the events that people have to deal with in real life. You're in the middle of a battle and something bad happens to you. It's not going to always go your way. It's tough sometimes because you have to wait for the right card in order to move. Different cards allow you to do different actions. At the top here you have your order, and as a secondary portion that can add on to an order, you can do the action part. But initially you play an order, and this order is fire, so I can order any unit to fire, or if I order a leader, any unit within its command hex radius can also fire. I can activate them, and if you look, there's a 1 inside the hex here, and that means he has a 1 hex radius around him. So if he's placed here, any units in these squares can also be activated. So that's really nice as far as planning, keeping your units together within that command radius, and that allows you to use 1 card to activate all those units. If I had another card that allowed to do that, if I had a unit way over here, I would have to have a separate card. If he was by himself with no leader, I would have to have a separate card just for him. So that's one thing you can do. Same thing with movement, all orders. There's also artillery in the game, like I was talking about before. You can do artillery request. You have to get a radio. Radio goes down the bottom box over here, and then for the other side the artillery box goes over there. You can request a bombardment, different types of things. You lay a spotting round down where you're going to place your artillery shot. You do a roll or a draw of a card to see, does it drift first? I know you have to do the range, but you basically look at the bottom of the card, you multiply the two numbers and see if it's within range, and then you do the actual attack. Pretty neat. You can do smoke, which is nice because you can lay smoke down on the field and then you can run across the field. A lot of great things happen in this game. It's simple but yet complicated in some ways. Some things I hate to say I don't like anything about it, but the rule book is a little technical. It takes a while to get worked through. Figuring out certain situations. If you enjoy that sort of thing, it's a great game. If you don't, it can be a little bit frustrating. And some people I've played with also have complained about the luck factor, as far as ordering your units into the middle of the field looking for that fire card, and you just have to keep ditching cards in order to get the fire card that you need. Some things that happen is you can draw bad rolls off the cards, but the good thing about this is that as you draw more bad rolls in the beginning of the game, I personally feel like the later in the game you're going to get the better cards, because there's a certain number of cards that are all random and they're all balanced, so if you have bad cards at the beginning, hopefully you'll have better cards in the end. It's a really good game. I highly recommend it. Lots of expansions, lots of people like it, and I hope you enjoy the review.